1. Hello, once again, everyone. I'm your host, Ray Shasho. Welcome to another edition of Interviewing the Legends. With a successful progressive rock album under their belts, Simon and Kelly were determined to continue the work they started with Sound of Contact during the UK production of Simon's fourth solo album, Becoming Human, which is awesome, by the way. Kelly recorded a demo of the song eMolecule in a flurry of inspiration. With this new offering, Simon and Kelly decided their way forward was as a duo, and they would pull their best material under the name eMolecule. In the summer of 2020, eMolecule decided it was time to begin work on their debut album, and that it was to be a concept album. The Architect features intense heavy guitar and drum performances, as well as deep, atmospheric, and emotionally driven arrangements from start to finish. eMolecule's first offering captivates the listener with infectious vocals of dynamic guitars and ultra-modern production, from the epic opening track, eMolecule, to the powerful climax of the closing track, Moment of Truth. This band and album are set to take the listener to another dimension. Please welcome Simon Collins and Kelly Nordstrom of eMolecule to Interviewing the Legends. Hey, guys.
Go, Ray.
Hey, Ray.
Let me tell you, man, I love the album. I gave it 5 stars all the way. First of all, Collins made a statement saying, for the first time throughout working together for 18 years, we are perfectly aligned. Working with Kelly on this project have produced some of the most meaningful music I've created, and I believe represents some of my life's best work to date. And I think you're right.
Okay, yeah, well, that's how we feel. It's been a genuine and authentic creative experience of evolution. It's been a spiritual journey. I think, as far as the concept, it's a human story. It's a classic good versus evil. It's handing yourself over to God, and not sounding religious here or anything, but it is a spiritual transformation of one man that we follow his last 2 weeks of his life.
Well, here's my words are, I said the music is epic, the lyrics sublime, imagery and emotions limitless. That's how I describe the album.
Wow.
Thanks very much. It really means a lot coming from someone like you, for sure. It's so versed in the genre and music in general. I really appreciate that. For me, this, like Simon began saying, it was truly probably the most authentic and organic process I've ever been a part of. And for me, certainly my life's best work, my greatest work. So I'm very proud of this.
Yeah, we certainly aligned, as far as, songwriting. We had a mountain of material that we'd written before so. But we also had just some amazing moments of writing together on the spot. Where literally every time we sat down to pick up our instrument and write and play, something deeply meaningful would come out.
When you have powerful music like this, by 2 proficient musical artists, and usually, I'm thinking about the great prog bands, like ELP, Genesis, and Pink Floyd. You don't get a lot of lyrics, but you guys, every song is filled with great lyrics. Like you said, you got a lot of material, and I just wish I had the lyrics in front of me so I can study them. I couldn't find the lyrics anywhere. I guess maybe it's too early.
Right. Well, it's interesting. We've only got 1 instrumental on the album, but we still included lyrics to that song.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more coming from a poetic kind of standpoint. But yeah, there's there's so many different mental atmospheres. I mean, we're writing and singing about a character, a psychopathic, global elite eugenicist, who's got the power of the world at his fingertips. And shortly after the album begins, he finds out he's got 2 weeks left to live. And so, the other 2/3 of the album are really about his journey after finding that out and how he deals with it and his spiritual transformation at the very end. And we're not going to tell you what happens at the end. You got to listen to the album. But there is a bit of a question mark at the end. I mean, we don't want to go too deep into the concept here, because I think it's important to Kelly and I both to have the listener bring their own interpretation to the table. That's very, very, very important for us. So a lot of the lyrics are cryptic, meant to be that way. But nonetheless, when we sat down to write this album, Kelly came out for a month, and it was originally meant to be a co-writing session for my next solo album. Solo album. It was days. It wasn't more than a few days after he arrived that we decided, let's do this eMolecule thing. We didn't even have a name for the project yet, but it became evident that would be a name for the project. And I mean, we spent time working on the concept first off. That was the first thing that we needed to do. We had 3 drafts, 3 entirely different stories, and the third one made the grade. And as we started writing, I mean, there was, as I said earlier, there was a lot of material from even from decades past, stuff that hadn't been recorded yet. And then there was brand new material right off the bat. But we had to work on working order while we were writing this. So it obviously chronologically, each song represents a part of the story. It's gonna be running order, not just because of tempo or because of the key of the song back to back. So, I mean, we had to make it work on a few different levels, and so that took us a while. I mean, most of the trip, I'd say. But yeah, so it was an interesting way to make a record. I've never made a record that way before in my life, and it's definitely, it requires extra attention.
Now, did you have a producer and an engineer, or did you guys do it yourself?
No. Well, we started off working with an engineer, co-producer who kind of we did our demo with. I know demo is kind of a dated word to use these days, but we recorded that 4 songs we did to send out to Inside Out. Actually, we didn't record it for any. It was exclusive. And after we got the deal, we decided to finish the project on our own. So we co-produced the rest of the album, and Kelly engineered, and we basically just take turns sitting down at the throne, and
very cool.
And that thing, a lot of sound design and programming, and Kelly plays bass and guitar and keys and sings as all the spoken word on the album. And of course, I'm doing the drums and the keys, sound design and programming, and all the lead vocals. So it turned out, to have a perfect balance of input and content from both of us.
I love the spoken word, by the way. It came out really good.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you. A lot of my contributions lyrically came from a bit more of a poetic approach. which is just how I naturally write when it comes to lyrics. So some of that was we lyricized, turned into more lyrical things that would fit within our concept where we needed it. But in other places, it seemed that it would be best used almost as is, like in that respect. And what ended up being the result was some of those poetic phrases that I did spoken word to represent the inner thoughts of our characters. So lyrically and vocally between Simon and I were able to represent different sides of our character, which was really got some mileage out of developing that, and it went well with the concept.
Simon, a lot of people, I don't know, a lot of people compare your voice to your dad. I don't see it. I think you got your own sound. You know, I don't know where they're getting that from. I mean, your dad's voice maybe was a lot like Peter Gabriel's, you know, but you definitely have your own sound.
That's true. I appreciate that, man. You know, but at the same time, you know, it's genetics as well.
Yeah.
There is a certain kind of upper range where sometimes if I'm, you know, there are moments on the album where I do reach that range naturally. And sometimes every once in a while it'll kind of I'll just jump and go like, wow, that sounds exactly like my dad. And I hear it. I hear what people are saying there. And but no, I mean, of course I've got my own sound, and it's developed over the years. You know, my voice was the one thing that I didn't pay too much attention to in my earlier years, because I never wanted to. For me, when in my younger years, it was all about drumming. So about being in a great band, more than being a front man and a you know, a performer, front man. Although, you know, I'm starting to enjoy that more and more, as you can tell, as albums come, that there's more conviction and emotion in the vocals. I've lived a little more now. You know, I've been through some shit, and I can get that shit off my chest. You know, it's yeah.
I'm going to talk about some of the tracks on the album.
Cool.
First of all, you lead off with eMolecule, which is the longest track on the album, 10:43. Very interesting opening. Kind of a sound effect like a video game, like a vintage video game. The song, the way it's structured and sounds, two bands come to mind when I heard that song. Alan Parsons and early Pink Floyd with Syd Barrett. Kind of reminded me of that track, which was really cool.
Yeah, I can get on board with that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, I appreciate that. eMolecule came about while I was over in England for a session on becoming human. And I had some downtime and just tapped in to the universe, and the material for eMolecule just kind of flowed out, and I made a demo just in the bedroom I was staying in, and actually once I got into it, like I became obsessed, and like even like I was just trying to pack up and get out the door on time for my flight. I was like laying like vocals like into my laptop as the very last thing I did on the trip, and it turned out to be an impactful thing for Simon when he heard it, and it kind of inspired where we ended up going with it, which is, you know, as you see now, called eMolecule. It kind of
even
really big. Yeah, even the lyrics had this. I didn't realize it till
our molecule. I mean, we ourselves on the album as a molecule through a song called eMolecule with the lyrics "We are a molecule." So I mean,
that wasn't planned or intended. It was.
That's why it's so good.
Yeah, it wasn't part of the plan, but Simon noticed that it would work that way as well. So yeah, it was pretty cool.
We were even a band, so and it turned out to be the perfect band name as well.
Oh, it's great.
Everything's kind of stemming from it, really. It's a powerful piece, and I think it's a great way to introduce an album. With just free form arrangement, deeply, can I say epic?
Yeah, you get. I call it epic.
It's epic, or is that just up to the fans? I don't know. It's a great introduction. It's a bit of a slap, and then we move right on to the architect, which is really technically the beginning of the concept
storyline.
Right.
The storyline, yeah.
Storyline.
And you get the voice dialogue in that one. Yeah.
That moves as well.
That's right.
That's like, what we're talking about with Kelly doing the spoken word, and that being represented dialogue, and my voice obviously being the outer dialogue. We get a glimpse of who this person is specifically through that section where he's remembering how things his dad said to him that were a bit disturbing, and just closing deals, deals being you always close, always benefit, It's like a so we're introducing a very dark character, psychologically, emotionally, and he's one of those guys,
right?
He's an elite globalist psychopath. He's got all his fingertips, and somehow we do manage to bring in some sympathy to this person, because he's at the end of the day, he wasn't born evil. He's there's a lot of things we explain that make sense to how he got the way that he's gotten. So yeah, and then
there's hope as well that emerges through the story, and in the end represent the last pieces on the album represent transformation from darkness to light.
Yeah, it truly is. Halfway through the album, the turn is called that.
Well, it's a great story.
Yeah, we go to
yeah.
I mean, I'm curious to hear your interpretation of the story. But first time we have. But I mean, it follows the last 2 weeks of this man's life, really, and redemption theme. This album is all about redemption, and the selfless act leading up to the selfless act that makes it all worthwhile.
And also I can say it's never too late to do the right thing.
Right.
That's true.
It's part of the message as well.
I'm not sure if that's true in Putin's case. Is it too late?
Yeah, right.
I think it's too late.
Right. Well, there's certain things that are, of course you can't take things back, of course, but perhaps that part of the message is that there, even in times like that, there may be an opportunity to rectify some of the damage done, or to create a different path forward from now.
Yeah, because I think he may be dying as well. I know he's, that's what I understand anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's happening. He's got 2 weeks left to live. And,
I mean, this could parallel into his life. Who knows? But yeah, The Architect is another great song with the voice dialogue. Another epic track, Mastermind. I mean, that song, very intricate piece, very interesting lyric, powerful track. It's almost a complete album within itself, just that one track, you know?
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Thank you, man. We had a
Yeah,
Thanks,
lot
Ray.
it's great.
at Quirky one, and it was basically three different, you know, songs or ideas for songs, kind of all put together.
Mm,
And yeah, we worked on that for quite a while because it took many different versions and different faces. But it's very you know, it's meant to be a slightly disturbing track.
hmm
It's basing on the propaganda. It's the man talking, and you know, halfway through the song you get just some well, not silent, but some screams
hmm
from the common, as to, you know, they're finally figuring out what's happening to them,
Right.
because, you know, there is he is a eugenicist in this album. He's out to crush the world, and so it's probably the darkest piece on the album as far as the characters based,
hmm
and what he creates at the very end. Kelly does some spoken word, kind
hmm
of very Vincent Price
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. With this one, with that one, I think it was really clear, like possibly one of the tracks that it was the most clear what the subject matter was
hmm
going to be, uh, and what we needed from it lyrically. And then it was a matter of instrumentally putting it together. It went through two or three um, in instantations, I guess you could say, versions, uh, and then eventually, you know, we came up with the arrangement, final arrangement that worked properly with the lyrics.
hmm
So yeah, it was quite an interesting process to put it together, kind of like a puzzle, because we had, you know, what is the middle used to be like
Right.
the end, and vice versa. So yeah, that was a really interesting one to put together as an arranger.
That's
Arrangers.
Yeah.
it has um yeah, I mean, that's the third single actually.
hmm
We're just right now for that. We just finished filming it literally
Oh,
like
really?
2 days ago.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, yesterday.
Well, yeah,
That's going
was
to
it
be
yesterday?
great.
Yes, it was yesterday.
Huh.
Yeah.
Incredible.
And
Yeah,
that's gonna be a great video.
I can't wait. You know, when I first heard the spoken word on this album, I said, where do they get that actor? He's good. I didn't know it was Kelly.
Ah,
I really thought you brought in somebody for
thanks.
that, you know?
Also,
I,
Ooh, right on.
do we need any samples as well? They thought there were samples as
yeah.
well. Like, no,
Yeah,
that's Kelly doing his thing. Yeah.
it worked out well that way, and it's actually been a great chance for me to explore that part of myself as an
Right.
artist too, as coming from a poetic kind of background
Yeah.
approach, and then also just my, you know, using my voice. I mean, I've always been an instrumentalist, but I also sang from a young age, you know, in choirs and
Yeah.
you know, like music school and stuff. It was mandatory, of course, and ear training. So
Man.
it was, but I've never really fully realized it in my actual music career. So
hmm
this is again another benchmark moment for me to be able to to lend my craft in that way.
You guys are a great
Big
team,
time.
too, by the way. You guys are a wonderful team. Yep. You got that
Thanks.
chemistry. I want to talk a little bit
Right on.
about the track "Dosed." There's no cure for what this is. This is pretty cool, and it's kind of a very powerful statement in those lyrics. Talk about that track.
Well, I mean, I remember I was in the other room, we were in the studio, working in the
hmm
studio here in Ireland. Kelly was just playing this riff on the guitar, and
hmm
I immediately shocked. I was like, "What is that you were playing?" It's just a killer riff. Like,
Yep.
Kelly's full of killer riff. We're like, this has got to go on the album. And we're at the point where we had a couple of more, we had a little more space on the album than we thought. So we're like, okay, we actually a couple more songs in here. So Dosed immediately was on the map. And yeah, I mean, it is the defining moment when the character realizes he's got 2 weeks left to live. He's been experimenting with different technologies. Let's just say that.
Yeah, we'll say that.
He gets a dose of his own fucking medicine. Let's just say that.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's no cure for what this is. We don't know what it is exactly. It is.
Well, that's I mean, and that is part of what we'd like to in some ways leave up to interpretation, because that could mean a lot of things.
It can.
And I mean, excess. I think it kind of represents excess in a way. Anything in excess becomes unhealthy, right? So, but I do love how that lyric like ended up, and where it ended up and how it ended up, because it really accurately defines that moment where something was not in his control.
Right.
And it's that moment where the change begins to occur,
right?
Because he realizes there are things that they're larger than himself.
Yeah, exactly. It's very, very simple track.
Yeah, there's no cure for what this is. I mean, that's a great line. You know, it also made me think about the fentanyl crisis, especially in America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Canada too.
Really?
Canada too, and and unfortunately, it has and continues to touch my life, just with in terms of the community here in a really tragic way. And it's interesting because it wasn't intentional, but then again, in retrospect, it does feel like just organically some of those underlying issues in our society did kind of leak into what we're doing, and that's a great example. There's no cure for what this is. Where there isn't a cure.
There's no fix. There's no fix for that.
We need to deal with it, or just like eliminate it as an option, which seems to be much harder than it should be, if you ask me. But anyways, that's politics.
Well, the scary thing is, what if it gets into medical marijuana? People, recreational marijuana smoker, you don't know. You're kind of afraid to do anything. What if it gets into regular medication that people take? It's
Yeah.
How do you stop it?
It has to do with the essential vacuum.
Yeah.
How do you plug essential vacuum?
Exactly.
You can cover it with Band-Aids, and all symptomatic cures. But at the end of the day, you're still left with the source of the problem.
Yep.
Which is much likened to a black hole.
Exactly.
That's what they call it. And, I've had my experiences with addiction in the past, and luckily it's in. And but yeah, I mean, I had to figure that out, on a more spiritual level.
Sure.
How to get well and how to love myself.
Yep.
Properly.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we've all been through stuff. I mean, I partied my brains out in high school and after that, but we didn't have to worry about fentanyl, we knew what was going on.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah. It's a different game. It is
a different game. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, totally different. Yeah.
Very scary.
And there's reference to on the album. I'm quite sure of it.
It is.
Yeah, absolutely. It's in there. It's kind of synonymous with the difficulty it can be to get away from any frame of mind.
That's right.
Or desire. Or its own, and also paradigms like thought, belief systems, and we obviously get right into that as well. Beyond belief, for example, is where it really kind of comes out on the surface.
Yep.
But it's about that I think that's ultimately the key to the lives that we create is how we deal with these things,
Right.
because everybody's got it. Like you said, everybody has
Mm-hmm.
things they've gone through and will go
Sure.
through, and it's how we respond to it, which we eventually get to in Time for Truth is his ultimate response in his last moments.
See, I love the messages in this album because people can identify it in their own ways. You know, when people get political in albums and they start pointing fingers, you know, like this man Trump is an asshole, or this and that, whatever. That turns me off. You know, because politically, we wanted to get away from that as kids in high school. You know, we wanted to get away from the man. We wanted music. You know, that was our calming thing. Get away from politics. And then when people point the fingers at politicians and this, I mean, I don't get that. You know, let's keep the music. You know, but the way you guys do it, these are issues. These are real issues in the world, and you know, that's the way it should be done. That's what I mean. That's the way it should be done. You did it perfectly.
Yeah.
You expressed yourself.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's much appreciated. Yeah, and we did. That was, I think, it's partly natural for us, but we also did. When we realized we we're getting close to stuff like that, we actually, consciously decided to just not go there for those exact reasons you just said. And also because in some ways specificity is like less is more.
Exactly.
Less is more when it comes to that. At least with what we're doing, that's not our thing. Like, but in a way, we'd like things to be coming across in a way that's universal for anyone in any culture.
Yeah, universal consciousness is where we're coming from. Doesn't matter, where you're from, who you are. When you listen to this album, it will, I would assume it would touch on some deep and feelings, and certainly not here to be on a pedestal and say, it's anything. We've learned so much more about ourselves and each other through making this record. And meaning of life comes up, and age-old thing. But by putting, writing this character's storyline, we so much more about our own lives as well, and how would we deal with this situation, or how would we we react to this and that. So it was really cathartic, and that was the word that I was trying to think of.
Oh yeah, I was just trying to think of that word too, and then I'm glad you remembered. I just to add to that too is like right along the same lines is that it's in a way to be it's look at it simplistically as well. Part of my process was getting involved with Simon, and then we got the concept and dark to light and redemption and things like that, spiritual transformations. And then but like after we'd finished the record, after a little while after we finished the record, as I like started to gain a bit of a different perspective on it too, and I realized that I think that we used it subconsciously without realizing it all the time, that we're actually exploring our own selves, our own questions, and where we'd like to go with our energy in our lives. So it was, we use this fictitious character to really get honest about it, because we're just talking about a character over there, but then at the end of the day, it's like, wait a second, like that we're talking about, like I'm talking about me, and like it's coming from a true place.
Exactly.
It's a direct connection to emotionally to what you're writing about. There's no way you can disconnect from it. Art that make, and of course, you know, some things came to light later on in the creation of the album, where we realized these things, and it was it's like it's a gift. It's a gift to be creative and to come from a genuine and authentic place. Yeah, I had a couple of tearful moments making the record.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
we both did. We both did.
where we're like, wow, this is beautiful what we're doing here. Sounds, but it's true. You know, there every fiber of our being is on this album.
Yeah.
You know, telling it straight, and I think people are at this moment on the planet are really like just starving for meaning and substance with music.
Oh yeah,
as
definitely.
well. Yeah,
Yeah.
on the radio, it's like no,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
It's like it's just not there. There's no substance to it. To a
There is
lot of
no
it.
substance.
And I know
Yeah.
general remark statement, but I think you can agree, yeah, that you know, the world needs more meaningful music.
Oh, definitely. God. I was going to say, if terrestrial radio was justifiable like it once was back in the day, you got 3 hits. Beyond Belief, My You, and Moment of Truth, to me, are hits that should be on the radio.
Ooh.
And I can
Oh,
say
thank
that. I
you.
was a top 40 DJ back in the late 70s. And so I
Wow.
played a lot of hits. So I know
Oh,
what should be on the radio.
oh man,
Those are
Ray,
hits,
that means
man.
that means
I'm telling
That's
you.
awesome. I could agree with you on that. It
Yeah.
was actually very difficult to select the songs to release as singles, because
yeah.
you know, we didn't want to just put out the accessible
Right.
material and leave some of the great album tracks
Mm-hmm.
to be discovered on, you know, super fans. Yeah, like the third single is Mastermind,
Mm-hmm.
coming from, which has now got about 100,000 hits. You know, we're taking a plunge into some dark stuff, and controversial as well, I'd say.
Yeah,
But,
I gotta say as well, a big thanks to Inside Out and Thomas Weber
yeah.
for directing us in this in this way, because he encouraged us to go forward with not what we thought was the most commercial, and go with what we wanted to lead off with as our as our flagships. In this case, it was kind of obvious it was going to be eMolecule, but it's beautiful to have that relationship with the label who really gets us and gets the current the current environment in the industry as well, because just based on what you're both saying there about people being hungry and thirsty for meaningful music, that it feels like we're on the perfect label to be for us to be able to do that with.
You know, Thomas allows artists to grow, and he's he's longevity. So you know, we've just signed a 3-album deal with them.
Oh, great!
And,
that's awesome.
We've already halfway through writing the next album.
Wow.
So yeah, so things are kicking off. But yeah, something that Thomas said that's resonated, or both of us, is that what's uncommercial these days is actually what's commercial.
Yeah.
If you're looking to write a radio hit, maybe look the other way. And
yeah,
Radiohead.
Yeah, I think.
Do you know what I mean? Muse are a good example of that.
Yeah, I think he's
bands, but you know, they're not marketed that way.
Yeah.
I think that what he said exactly was the most commercial thing you could do would be something uncommercial.
Yep.
Yeah, was it? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, not to correct you, it's just like that's just a great quote. I love it.
You know, I love how you slowed it down with you know, beautiful tracks, like My You, which is a beautiful song. That's one of the ones that should be a hit if radio was normal, of course. But I love that
I
track,
know.
and also Beyond Belief. I mean, it
Man.
was.
Yeah.
I don't think I expected those slower, beautiful tracks on the album when I first started hearing it. But then I said, "Wow, this is very clever." You guys do a great job.
Thanks. Well,
Thank
thanks.
you.
We didn't set out to write ballads. Oh, we got to get the ballad in.
Yeah.
We actually were really trying to stay true to ourselves in the philosophy that we're going to do what's, well, first of all, best for the song.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, before we even kind of got that far, we spent a lot of time on the concept at first.
Right.
And so then we started plugging the songs in, and then going, okay, well, what do they need? It just happened. It just happened that way. We didn't set out to write the ballads. They just naturally happened.
We didn't. We threw the formula book out.
Yeah.
And we just wrote whatever came to, what made sense on an emotional level, spiritual, a psychological level. That's where I think that's the three kind of main things for us that drew us to a creative alignment.
Mm-hmm.
Those three things that drove us to write the album.
Right.
And so yeah, I mean, there's a song called Beyond Belief,
Mm-hmm.
and that's
Love
really
it.
about discovering the penultimate truth
Mm-hmm.
while leaving your paradigms at the door. That's what that's about. What happens if you discover a truth that your paradigm, your current paradigm, doesn't recognize? Then what do you do?
Right.
You got to change it up again. You got to press the reset button. So it's intense stuff like that. Eureka moments, like the first time I discovered. I was bought a telescope by my mom and my stepdad when I was 17 years old. I remember one night going out, and I just pointed it at the brightest object in the sky, and it had just happened once I got into focus. Saturn. I could see all the rings, everything. And it wasn't some picture in a textbook.
Yeah.
This was real. This is looking at it in real. And it just changed me. It just did something to me. And I just felt deeply in love with astronomy and space in general. And
definitely.
so I wanted to know more and more. And so there's a song called "The Universal" in the album, and that's about that moment, that eureka moment when you discover the universe around you, and you feel. Some people say it makes them feel small. For me, it makes me feel like I belong to something.
Right. Exactly.
Something that is sometimes unintelligible, but nonetheless, every track we're trying to communicate something deeply intense as a human experience. And,
what a great line, though. The universe where all the answers hide. Who thought of that?
Yeah.
That's Mr. Simon Collins.
What a cool line, man. Oh man, that's great.
Yeah.
There's some existentialism in there, a little bit.
Yeah. You got a little bit of psychedelia in that song too, don't you? The universe, the universal.
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
The guitars.
Yeah. I'd say there's cool, absolutely. And I'd say that's actually I hadn't heard that word for a while, but that there's definitely an element to that, I think, for both of us in most of what we do. That's just being allowed to let your creativity and imagination go. I guess for me, I end up in this psychedelia kind of thing, and that doesn't always mean soft or nebulous. Sometimes that can mean very specifically crazy.
Yeah. You guys would have done very well in the 60s.
Yeah.
Solo in the Universal blew my mind. It just takes you to like it's right at the peak there. It's
Yeah,
boundary, you know.
it's great, man. And
So we had a lot of fun with that, man,
yep.
and a lot of the stuff that we recorded, like a
Hmm.
lot of our solos, for instance, with Kelly, were kind of like one take wonders. You know, like it
Yeah.
wasn't all cleverly
Yeah.
designed, plotted. You know, a lot of it was just like pure, like just pure creativity. Bam.
Best type. The best type.
Yeah.
I hate music
Yeah.
that's overproduced and
Yeah.
done over and over and over
It's
again.
just a
Yeah.
fine line.
Yeah.
There's a fine line to it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah. I
guys
think
you guys shined in the turn. I just wanted to say the drumming was great on the turn. The guitar work was excellent. You know.
Thank you.
thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good example
Hmm.
of it. Well, all what we've been saying too, but
Hmm.
also where we're coming from musically. Like the first whole half of that song was something we extracted from an improvisation, and it literally not much change from that except it developing the ideas that we improvised
Hmm.
into specific parts. And so there is some of that on the album too, and other tracks as well. Like for instance, both the main kind of guitar solos that I did were improvised on the spot, not planned. Just like we needed something, and it was just time. I just had to sit down and just break through any sort of procrastination that was going on at the moment and just go for it. And it maybe did 2 or 3 takes, and it was already. I would just go back to that first one. And it was like, that's the one. So there's actually quite a bit of off the cuff, just out
Yeah.
of thin air stuff on that album, as kind of produced as it is.
Yep.
And it's not like a live sounding trio or something, but there is quite a level of improv that made it on the final record.
Are you guys going to be able to perform this album live, do you think? The whole album?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to say yes.
Definitely yes.
Yeah.
No doubt about that. We've got a band set up.
Okay.
We've got a great drummer, brilliant. We've got a couple of different bass players we're looking at.
Okay.
We haven't, disturbed any, we're way too soon for that. I'd say that, if we tour at all, it'll be near the end of next year,
Right.
most likely. Or, usually these days you got to book. Well, these days is, I think forever it's been the same way. You got to book a tour a year in advance, usually, depending on who you are and where you're trying to get to. But we're definitely thinking about it, even if it's a showcase tour, or some virtual gigs. We would definitely want to, reach that point where we can bring the album to life live, no question. And we'll have a lot of, because we're working with Wayne Joyner, who did a lot of stuff. He's doing all the animation in the videos.
Oh, great.
So we've already got this modern, very modern, ultra modern kind of look, visual aspect to the band that we want to bring, keep alive, and add to our show.
Well, your kind of music,
definitely looking forward to.
You guys are going to have to tour kind of worldwide because of the type of music you play. It's just inevitable.
Great.
You can't just do the United States because you're going to be very popular, definitely in Europe and, like places like Japan, Amsterdam, Germany, you got to play. You can't get out of it.
Yeah. I hope, and I hope you're right. I believe you are right. So yeah, I think that we just gotta. It's a wonderful position to be in.
Sure,
we're blessed and so excited to bring it to the stage for sure. And I think it's just about like Simon said, just the right kind of situation coming along logistically, timing wise. Because I think once we get going, then there may be, we may be busy for a while.
Oh yeah, definitely. What happened to Sound of
Yeah,
Contact anyway? What did you just want to dissolve the band, or
this is the you know, a shit bag
okay?
of politics.
Yeah.
Basically, I don't really want to get into it too much, to be honest.
Okay. You just wanted
Um,
a new band, a
mainly,
change.
mainly out of like, well, there's a little bit out of respect to the other guys in the
Right.
band.
Right.
You know, they can say what they want, but I've always kind of kept it a little tight-lipped about it because, you know, we are talking about other people.
Right.
You know, no matter kind of what happened in the band, you know, politically, it's not really for everyone's ears, to be
Hmm.
honest. I've got my take on what happened.
Right. And they got their take. That's
Okay.
usually the case.
Yeah, yeah, and I think the good news is it's that anything that was flaring up around that time is water under the bridge at this
Right.
point,
Right.
and
Oh,
we're all on the same page, and
yeah, touch.
we'll continue to support each other as much as we
Sure.
can.
That's
That's
the
how
best
it's
way to think
going, you
about it.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I saw
Dave and Matt.
Simon. I saw you and your dad playing the Big Bang on YouTube. Man, that was awesome. That was incredible. Do you wish you could do more with your dad,
Thank you.
like on the side, or and
That'd be great. You know,
yeah,
I mean, we did the Big Bang together.
that was
For
cool.
me, that was, that was I can't top that, to be honest. Like, you know, it wasn't about doing, a 2.5 minute pop song together or something like that,
Yeah,
doing a vocal duet or something. It was about doing something that we both find is our bond,
that was
and that
very
was
cool.
drumming. And we,
Yeah,
put it together in a couple of days, really. I
amazing.
wrote the part, not all the parts, but he asked me to write his parts for him. I'm like, what?
Hmm.
Okay, I could do that. But he based what he played off of what I wanted him to do,
Right.
which is basically just a call and response stuff. So it's pretty basic. Oh, that's what you're playing? Okay, I'll play that here, but differently,
Yeah.
or what have you. So, but that was amazing.
Hmm.
At this point, I'm just having a normal relationship with him
Yeah.
as a father and son,
Yep.
and it's because of COVID and all that, it's been difficult to
Yeah.
travel and see each other.
Exactly.
But should be planning a trip to see him out, and he lives in Switzerland now.
Oh wow.
And I'm in
Oh,
Ireland. This is not far
yeah.
to travel, really.
Yeah.
But I've been trying to get interested in writing again. I even wrote a song and sent it to him and said, "Here, you can have this one."
Nice.
Or we can finish writing it together. Is more the point, not writing him songs. I don't think he needs me to write him songs.
I used to
But
jam with my son. He plays drums and I play guitar. I just bought him an electric
cool.
drum set for Christmas,
nice.
and we've
Awesome.
always jammed
Yeah,
together.
That's great.
So
That's what
yeah.
I use for like on Becoming Human. I started using the V drum kit,
Yeah.
and that's drums on that album, and that's how I did the drums on this album as well. And so it was all about what the song needed, drum wise,
Hmm.
whether it was Dave Grohl
Right.
or Copeland direct or what have you. But my style is still there.
Hmm.
Uh
yeah.
Primal, big on that.
Hmm.
So
You're primal and melodic,
Hmm.
I'd say.
melodic, even though I like the more the thuds than the tonal drums.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's I just every song was different drum sound, really. You
Yeah.
got drummer for Gavin Harrison for
Hmm. Oh yeah.
like his sound is great. It's just a well-tuned kit.
Hmm.
With so lots of different influences there on the
Yep.
drum, but I moved away from just miking an acoustic kit for
Hmm.
the whole album. Moved away from that direction,
Yeah.
which I turned out good. I think it turned out great.
Yep.
Yeah,
drum sounds on different songs. Just keeps it interesting.
Sure.
You know?
Mhm.
I
think it's also.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I'll just say one more thing. It was a
Mhm.
really effective way for us to work as like co-writing things as
Right.
well, to be able to like jam things out, play together, in a bit more of a controlled, you know, sound level situation.
Mhm.
So I'm not, blasting my ears out,
Yeah.
just working out parts and stuff like that. So it's quite an effective tool for producing
Mhm.
what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
Simon, I met
you
your
know, you,
dad back in 1978 in Fort Lauderdale. He was at
Wow.
a Peaches record store, and I was living in
oh yeah.
Lauderdale. I went to broadcasting school, and I met the whole band. Um, yeah, it was a long time ago. I still got the album he signed,
Oh, which album would it have been?
Trick of the Tail.
The Tale.
One of my
Wow.
favorite albums of all time. And
Yeah.
Chester was there too, by the way. He was at Peaches.
Chester actually was more of a drum teacher to me,
Really?
actually.
Huh.
And, at the gigs on tour,
Yeah.
uh, I needed to go do some rudiments. You want to come and hang?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure, man. So like, yeah, he'd give me a drum pad, and we do some syncopation together, warm up for about half an hour, teach me all sorts of different paradiddles and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And because my dad's left-handed, before the show, if I wanted to play on any of the kits, it had to be Chester's.
Hmm.
I'm right-handed myself,
Yeah.
so he'd show me around the kit, and yeah, but sonically and somewhat stylistically, well, I grew like my dad bought me my first drum kit when I was 8, and he bought me a little, headset with a tape player, and there was a pile of tapes there, and most of them were Genesis. So I learned drums by playing to some pretty classic albums.
Mm-hmm.
Play seconds out from beginning to end.
Mm-hmm.
So I was playing all time signatures before I even knew what they were,
Wow.
which is pretty interesting. But
Very cool.
yeah, no, I playing to his material, a lot of his material,
Yeah.
and as I grew up and developed my own taste,
Yeah.
that turned into Nirvana, and
Mm-hmm.
whatever
Yeah.
movement.
The grunge scene. Yeah. I had Danny Goldberg
Yeah,
on,
yeah.
the manager of Nirvana. Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah.
Cool.
Fan of the post-punk movement for
Yeah.
sure, but I started when I was in my 20s, and so I started getting into the electronic side of
Mm-hmm.
music.
Mm-hmm.
I was DJing Goa trance,
Mm-hmm.
psychedelic drum and bass.
Right.
Then did well, played Burning Man one
Mm-hmm.
year, which was a huge, amazing opportunity
Yeah.
to play at Burning Man. And so I started getting into the sound design thing and the programming thing,
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of what's brought. I feel like that's also represented in the album as well, is the electronica production
Yep.
that keeps it ultra modern.
Yes.
And
It does. It does
yeah,
keep it modern.
we're keeping.
But like I
Yeah,
said, 5 stars on the
so
album. I thought it was great. It's a great
thank
album.
you.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want
That
to
means
mention
more.
you do have kind of a celebrity family going on. I just want to remind people some of your family members. First of all, your mom was an actress. Lily Collins, your half sister, she's in Emily in Paris. By the way, my wife and I watch every episode of that show. So I'm very familiar with that show. Emily in Paris is back on Netflix December 21st for all you fans. Jolie Collins, which is your sister, right? She's an actress. And
Yeah,
your uncle Clive was a cartoonist.
cartoon.
Yeah, very cool,
Yeah, he
man.
just passed away,
Oh,
unfortunately.
really? Yeah.
Um, lovely guy though. My Uncle
Mhm.
Clive, Uncle Clive. And then you got my younger brother. Like, did you play drums for Genesis their last tour and played with my dad on his
Yeah.
tour? And he's a kid, man. He's only 19 and
Hmm.
he's got chops. He's a great drummer. Yeah, and my younger brother Nick,
Hmm.
sorry, Matt,
Right.
he's playing at a French football league as well.
Huh.
So he's headed for football, like
Oh,
soccer.
wow. Your uncle had been a
Was
cool
doing
guy,
something
huh?
great.
Your uncle was
Yeah,
he did stuff for Playboy, Reader's Digest, The Sun. He also doubled as a racing tipster, Lucky Jim. So he had quite a life,
yeah,
huh?
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, where do you get your name, Nando? Nando, your middle name.
Oh, well, my mom's side of the family, Italian, Northern Italian from Verona.
Okay,
And like we don't speak Italian in the
right.
family, right? Far removed. But yeah, Nando was the name of my great uncle,
Okay, very different.
I think. Yeah. And then my other middle name is Philip
Yep.
Cornell. So
Huh.
yeah. I've never liked the name Nando, to be frank.
It rhymes with a lot of other names.
Yeah.
Reminds me of Nando's chicken, that's all.
All right, here's a question I ask everybody, and I get some very interesting answers. So I'm going to ask each one of you, and I'll get an answer from each one of you. If you had a Field of Dreams wish, like the movie, to perform with, collaborate with anyone from the past or present, who would that be?
I'd say Kurt Cobain
Interesting.
from Nirvana.
I would I would say, hmm,
It'll take too long now.
well, I'd say Ozzy.
Ozzy,
I'd say
really?
Ozzy. Yeah,
Very cool.
that'd be awesome. That'd be a bucket list. I love all of his guitar players
Yeah.
that he's ever had. It started with Tony Iommi. I play an SG, a black SG, because of that. It was my, my teenage purchase, my first nice guitar because of Black Sabbath, and
Hmm.
it just goes from there. I think he's always come down with like some of the most amazing guitar players
Yeah.
that has inspired me.
Yep. I agree with you.
Yeah,
He's one of
so
my
yeah, that would
favorites.
be
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, of course, beyond Tony Iommi, of course, Randy
Yeah.
Rhoads, Jakey Lee,
Hmm.
those are really got me going, and
Real. Yeah.
and he's just gone from there.
Nice.
Who are some of the drummers that
Nice.
got you going?
Yeah,
Yeah, drummers. Well, it'd be silly not to say, my dad and Chester,
Yeah.
because I grew up on tour with,
Yep.
they were my heroes. They did their drum duets. Um, I'd have to say, Calhoun from
Hmm.
Living Color, like Gavin Harrison coming up
Hmm.
to recent times.
Yeah.
Um,
yeah.
Roll. I mean, he invented alt rock drumming. I
Hmm.
mean, hit the drumming on Nevermind is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And he invented a lot of those alt drum rock, fills basically. So yeah, there's a lot of names in there. A lot of
Hmm.
names.
Here's a couple more from me, like modern day. I'd have to say Steven Wilson,
Hmm.
based on Porcupine Tree initially, which
Yeah.
got me into him.
Yep.
I was, came really, yeah, and Dream Theater,
Yeah.
huge fans of
Definitely.
them. John Petrucci,
Hmm.
always like,
Portnoy, yeah,
yeah,
amazing.
like just I'd
Yeah.
love to
Those
work
guys are
with
great.
anybody from that group.
I'm a big prog
Yeah,
guy, so I love anything prog, and now it's called prog metal. You know, that's the new thing now.
Yeah.
It's prog metal.
Yeah. Oh,
Mike.
Mike Patton. I'd love to do something with Mike Patton somehow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Faith No More.
It's great
Yeah.
in Mr. Bungle.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
I had Neil Morse on the
Was-
show
was-
not long ago. He's
Staying in the background. The Rockstar Chronicles.
yeah, that's my book. These are my books. This has
Oh, wow.
45 intimate conversations with some of the greatest rock legends ever. And this is a story about me growing up in the family business, which I'm pitching to Hollywood right now to try to make it a TV sitcom. So
Nice.
working
That's
on that.
Nice. Oh, good luck with that, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's great.
That's a whole new world. You know, my world's always been into music and not Hollywood and TV and all that, but I'm learning a lot. I really am learning a lot. I want to thank you both for being on the show today, man. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you, Ray.
Good luck with the
Star,
album.
man.
I know it comes out in February. You can pre-order it now, right? February 10th is the official date.
Yeah,
Right.
that's right. You can pre-order now. That's right.
Good. I hope you guys
Thank you,
tour
Ray.
soon, maybe next year. We'll see. Because I'd love to see you guys.
I'd love to meet you in person, and love to get down to Florida and play some
Yep.
gigs as well, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
I can help you out with some venues
Yeah,
if you want
absolutely.
in this area. So hooking you up with people.
Oh,
Very
well,
cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
I want to say special thanks to Roy of Royal Avenue Media for arranging this interview with Simon and Kelly. You can pre-order the album eMolecule entitled The Architect. And it's available at eMolecule.link.to/The Architect and also at Amazon.com. The official release is February 10th, 2023. You got the videos Beyond Belief. That's out, right? Is that out yet? Is that single out yet?
Yeah.
The video? Okay.
Charge
And-
100,000 on that.
Yep. And you can go to eMoleculemusic.com. You guys are on Spotify, Facebook.
Yeah.
You're out there everywhere. Instagram, TikTok,
Yeah. Twitter.
Twitter as well.
Still working on TikTok. Got to wrap my head around that one.
I haven't
And
done that
but
yet.
yeah,
either.
we'll get there. We'll get there.
And a shout out to Inside Music.
We'll get there.
Inside Music. I'm interviewing
Inside Out Music. Yes.
Inside Out. I'm interviewing Rich Williams from Kansas tomorrow, and they have a 50
Oh, wow.
anniversary album through Inside Out Music as well. So,
Right.
yeah,
Wow, wow.
I just got the album today. It's phenomenal. It's got everything Kansas on there.
Gonna get-
Awesome.
Yep. Thanks, guys.